Okay, so I picked up a jet ski. I had space in the shed, time on my hands, and I needed something to do, so look, here we go. So I went and did the right thing and bought the cheapest one that I could find on Facebook Marketplace, and of course it doesn't run. So this weapon is a 1999 model Yamaha Waverunner. It says GP760, so I've done a little bit of Googling, and I believe it means it's 760 cc's and it's a two-stroke.
If there's one thing Dad loved more than Serenity, it was a two-stroke engine on full throttle.
So, spoiler alert.
I don't know anything about two-strokes.
Anyway, let's dig right into it. Let's see if we can get it to run. Well, I know a lot more now than I did a couple of minutes ago. It's 2 cylinders. It looks pretty clean. Neat and tidy, really. It must be the fuel tank. Presuming that's an oil tank, 2-stroke oil. It must mix it. I don't know how it mixes it.
I don't know anything about two-strokes.
Don't know, we'll figure that out. There's a bit of battery down there, there's a little bit of standing water in the bottom of it. So let's try and fire it up. Here's the start button, let's see what happens. It makes a noise. Question is it the starter motor making that noise? Where's it coming from? I think the starter motor's down here underneath the exhaust. It certainly looks like it because this is the front of the motor here, and it looks like that's where there's room for an offset gear or something down there that the starter would turn. I don't know, I'm just assuming, but at the back here there's nothing. It looks like there's just a output of the crank just there. Then there's this coupler, and then it goes into the jet pump. So it looks to me like the starter is underneath the this exhaust manifold just down there. Let's listen to the sound again. I'll see if I can pinpoint where it's coming from. It sounds to me like it's coming from this box here, and this box has a bunch of cables going into it and a bunch of cables coming out of it, so I would assume that's like an electrical. Well, here we go. What does it say on it? Do not touch or remove electrical parts when starting or running the engine. Okay, well, it sounds like that's where the noise is coming from, and yeah, like I said, there's the hot feed from the battery. Looks like it goes into it down here. So maybe there's a relay or a switch in there. I'll pull the cover off and have a look what's inside. So this is the inside of the panel. There's a whole heap of connectors in there. There's a rubber gasket here to seal it up, obviously. And this here looks like it's a starter solenoid or relay. You can see there's wires going into it, little thin wires, which are the trigger wires that'll come from this switch. And then there's these two big heavy ones. One of them will be from the battery, and one of them will be to the starter. So I think in order to determine what the problem is, to isolate it, to figure out whether the problem's with the starter or the battery, by connecting these two, by effectively jumping them, it'll bypass the switch, the start switch, this thing, and all that. So let's do that. I'll jump it across here and we'll see if it cranks. Well, that was a letdown, nothing happened. So I've got my little test light here, trying to figure out what's going on. Test light works. Okay, so that's the hot side from the battery to the starter relay. Just get this to stay on there. I'll test if all the wiring's correct. So that should light up now when I press the starter, and it does. That's bad news. So thinking it through, that means the relay is sending a signal down to the starter motor. So the switch, the wiring, all of this, the inhibitor here, all of that works. The starter solenoid works. So the problem is either with the starter motor or the motor's locked up. Given that I can't hear the starter clicking or anything, because all that clicking, the only clicking noise I can hear and I can feel it is this solenoid here. Maybe there's the problem's down at the starter motor. Don't know. Let's dig in further. Beside the point. What I'm actually trying to figure out is how I can test if the motor's seized or not. There's not really anywhere that obvious I can see, so I don't know, I'm considering pulling this cover off the front of the engine there, because I believe the starter's going to be just over here, so there might be hopefully if I can get that cover off, pull that pump and cover off, have a look what's behind it. I'm hoping there'll be some sort of a gear or a chain or some drive there that the starter drives, the starter turns the engine from, and something turns that pump. So might try and get that cover off, have a look what's behind it. Well, that's great news. It's not seized. And you can see this is the end of the starter here. There's a loose. What's going on with that? I don't even know what I've just done, but this whole bloody thing's loose. So the good news is the engine's not locked up. I mean, that's a massive win. To be honest, when I was clicking the key or clicking the start button and hearing that click noise and figured out it wasn't the solenoid, I thought for sure the motor was locked up. So that's a real win. I'm super happy about that. But let's get this exhaust manifold off and find out what's going on under there. It's a big mystery to me, but
I don't know anything about two-strokes.
there we go. Well, that helps. Well, what a mission. There's not much that's easy to reach in these things. I'll give you a look. Yes, this is what I was explaining. That's the pipe that comes out of the exhaust manifold. This is the exhaust manifold here, and you got this big expansion type pipe thing. And then there's a piece of rubber on the end here with two hose clamps that was underneath another piece of rubber. So I couldn't see that. And then there was, there's like looks like an exhaust temperature sensor or something like that.
I don't know anything about two-strokes.
And then this is the manifold here. So looks like there's 3 bolts for each port. So 6 bolts I need to pull out. I need to pull these 2 out, which are holding up this expansion chamber thing. And then beneath all of that, you can see the red cable here, which is coming from the fuse box over there, which goes into the starter motor. So the starter motor is hidden underneath all that. So I'll get this manifold off and this big piece out of the way, and then we'll have a look at the starter finally. Alright, it fought me pretty bad. There's the starter down there. Positive lead comes in, that's the earth there. I'll figure out how it's bolted on, get it off, and let's have a look at it, see what's going on. It's pretty rusty. That exhaust manifold fought me a fair bit, but came off with some decent persuasion. Alright, let's get it off. Alright, starter's out. I won't say it was an easy job, but I don't know, probably would have been a lot easier if I knew what I was doing.
I don't know anything about two-strokes.
So I've got the jump pack here. Nothing. Well, listen to that, it's crusty. Tried and true method. The old man used to say, if you can't fix something with a hammer, it can't be fixed. This one's for you, Dad. Oh, shish. Well, that's hilarious. Jeez, it feels rough though. Alright, look. I think it was stuck. It was probably seized. And it's all corroded here on the outside for sure. For sure it's like that on the inside. And given you're going to be out in the middle of the ocean or the lake on one of these things, the last thing you're going to want is the starter failing on you. So I'm going to order a new starter, but I think I'll pull this one apart anyway and have a look at, see what's going on. Well, spoiler alert, it's not in good shape. All the guts of it are seized in there.
I'm dropping the hammer. No, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavily worn, heavily corroded. But still, oh, that proves the point anyway. I'll get another one of these coming. I'll get an exhaust manifold gasket so I can get that back on there. And I guess that's where I'll have to leave this one. Thanks heaps for watching. Next time I'll have a fresh starter. We'll get this thing back together. See if we can't get it to crank and fire up.